Brock Purdy did some light throwing today. Does that mean he's on track to start Sunday in Buffalo? We'll discuss that and more next on the Best 49ers Show. What's up? Welcome to the Best 49ers Show. We're the best 49ers podcasters, content creators in the world, Craig. The world. That's Ryan G. Hensley. I'm Grant L. Cohn. Kyle Shanahan just spoke on his Monday conference call. You heard it. He said that Brock Purdy threw a little bit today. Didn't have any pain, although we weren't there. We didn't see it. But apparently he threw a little bit lightly without incident, and he's back in the same boat he was in last week, where we'll see how he is on Wednesday. We'll see how he feels. They were completely surprised last week. I don't know if they're any more confident about their ability to predict the future now. But what do you think? Do you feel like Brock Purdy is going to start this game against the Bills? What level of concern do you have about his arm in the short term and in the long term?
I think it's interesting. Well, they did say threw lightly. I think it's interesting that the very next day, he can throw lightly without incident the very next day. I'm not sure what to think, brother. Like, there's been reports, I don't know how confirmed they are, that he was having elbow soreness prior to the shoulder injury. If you look at his last two games that he played, he didn't throw a football past 20 yards in the game. So maybe that is accurate. And then the last game obviously hurts his shoulder. So I don't know. I heard you ask Kyle today, what is the injury? And, trying to get clarification of what the exact injury is. And he just said shoulder. Didn't really give any clarification of it. It's hard to know what to think of this. Is this something that is a reoccurrence from his previous elbow injury and he has a shoulder injury, or are we just dealing with a new shoulder injury? What's the depth of that shoulder injury? We don't know. It's tough to make evaluations.
We do know that he's being purposely vague. And to me, like, you would do that if it were not good. If it were a shoulder contusion, he could say that. But the fact that he won't say whether it's a labrum or whether it's an AC joint or whether it's a subluxation or whatever it is, makes me feel like he doesn't want to say, because maybe it wouldn't help Brock. Like, Brock is in such a tough spot where one more injury to that throwing arm and he could lose a lot of money. So maybe Kyle Shanahan's trying to do the right thing and protect his players' market value. Or maybe he just doesn't want the upcoming opponent to understand what's going on. But I'm a little concerned about Brock. I mean, he didn't have a strong arm beforehand. He's going to go, like, short term, he's going to go to Buffalo and play well. He doesn't throw the ball that well in rain. It could be snowing. It's going to be cold. And what is he going to have, like 85% arm? I mean, he can certainly scramble around, but the more he does that, the more he opens himself up to more hits and potential injuries to his throwing arm. So I'm not sure that playing him in Buffalo is the right thing unless his arm is 100% healthy.
It doesn't sound like, to me, if I'm betting right now, I would bet he doesn't play. The reason why, I mean, you're going to Buffalo, it's cold. In cold weather, your injuries seem to be elevated for whatever reason. He's going to be playing in snow, possibly. I think last time I checked, it was 35% chance of snow, but it was like at 33 degrees, which is that slushy, like, it's worse. I'd rather just be 25 degrees and get real snow than that slushy stuff. I mean, if there's any kind of hindrance on his arm, I would play Allen. I mean, I would play Dobbs, but it sounds like Kyle also said that if Brock can't go, he's playing Brandon Allen for whatever reason. But you can't have a Brock Purdy not at 100% playing in Buffalo. It's not good for his arm. It's probably not good for the team. So if I had to bet money, I would say he doesn't play. But again, it's so vague and there's not very much clarification. The extent of this, it's hard to tell.
Let's be honest and realistic. Even if he does play, even if he's 100% healthy, we're probably going to lose to Buffalo, because Buffalo's really good and the Niners really aren't. Yeah. So they could throw him out there. Will he be 100%? I don't even know if they know. So it seems like it's a risk. I don't know how much of a risk because they haven't said exactly what the injury is. But assuming it's a risk, you could take it in a game that you're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
Or you could sit him one more week and see if you can give him if a little bit more rest gets him back to 100%, and then he's ready to play at home against Chicago in a game that you might actually win. That's it could be a little bit more of a cautious approach.
And honestly, if he was playing yesterday with the 49ers have won, I would say no. I don't think even Brock is obviously better than Brandon Allen, but I don't think it would have been enough to win that game yesterday the way they were playing. And then I think it's important we talk about all the other I mean, I don't know if this is on the plan for today, but there's a lot of other injuries. Aaron Banks, concussion protocol. Dominic Pooney, shoulder MRI. Renardo Green, neck injury.
Yeah.
You know, this team is good luck to whoever the quarterback is on Sunday. I mean, we don't know if Trent's going to come back. We don't know if Nick Bosa is going to come back. I know they just opened the practice window for Dre Greenlaw, but he's not going to play this weekend. I don't even know if he should play this season, especially if they lose to Buffalo. This team just looks unmotivated, undisciplined. They seem out of it, man. And I don't think if Brock plays, it's going to make a difference in this Buffalo game. I don't think it would have made a difference yesterday. And I don't think I would play Brock Purdy regardless. I really don't.
I don't know if I speak for you on this one, but I think what Brock Purdy does the rest of the season is extremely significant. Maybe not for the outcome of the Niners aren't going to win a playoff game this year if they even get to the playoffs, I don't think. But what he does is significant for the future of the franchise because they came into this season being like, man, it's so nice to have a franchise quarterback and we're going to pay him so much money. It's so nice to be in this position where we finally have the guy. Now it's like, I don't know that you got the guy. I mean, I like Brock Purdy a lot, but this is now his second injury to his throwing arm in 24 months or a little bit less than 24 months. So I need to see that he can make a full recovery. And even if he does make a full recovery this year, would you feel comfortable giving him a 5-year contract and feeling like, yeah, his arm will be fine? I mean, I know maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but all of a sudden I feel like the future of the 49ers franchise at quarterback is completely up in the air, and they actually probably need to consider drafting a quarterback in the mid rounds or trading for a quarterback who doesn't have a messed up arm.
They're going to have to explore all options. I mean, the 49ers are 5-6 right now. That means they played 11 games. There's 6 left. There's multiple scenarios that can unfold for Brock Purdy and for the 49ers. First scenario, obviously, if let's say he doesn't get healed and he doesn't come back, he doesn't play anymore. What do you do in that situation? Maybe we should explore it situation by situation. If that's the case, if Brock Purdy doesn't come back this year, what do the 49ers do with him? To me, it's they don't pay him anything. They say play out your contract, and if you want to hold out, but we can't pay you coming off of this injury. That's what I would do in that situation. What would you do in that situation?
And even if he does come back and show something, like the fact that he injured again, scrambling around, he may have had elbow fatigue as well. I'm not sure. 2-year contract, 3-year contract, 2 or 3, depending on how he finishes the year. If he doesn't play anymore, maybe give him a 2-year extension. Be like, we like you. You've done a lot for us. We want to take care of you. But if you want a 5-year extension, you got to come back and prove it, man. Here's a 2-year offer. That's really, team friendly. And the thing about Brock is, like, I think one of the things that was great about him is that he was the perfect quarterback on a rookie deal in the sense that he was ready to play right away, no development required. But the guys who get $55-60 million a year are guys that have serious upside. It's not just that they can play right away and their experience coming out of college. Like, there's a whole different gear that they can reach. And I'm not sure that Brock can do that, even if he stays healthy. And his slender frame makes me wonder if he can stay healthy.
Well, let's put this other scenario. Let's say that this injury never happened and he played this entire season, all 17 games, the way he was playing in the first half of the season. Is that worth an extension?
See, okay, good question. Take the shoulder out of it, because I think he hurt his shoulder either scrambling against Seattle or as like an overcompensation thing because of his elbow. But I think, like, I'm not sure how strong the elbow's holding up. He got the surgery. He played really well for the first 3 quarters of last season. But I think it's one of these things where, like, it may wear down the more you use it. it may have been stronger right after the procedure, like right when he got back, because really since that Baltimore game, he hasn't been putting up crazy numbers like he did the first 12 games of 2023 and the games before then. You could argue that Brock Purdy's was at his best at his rookie year before he tore his UCL, that he had a stronger arm, a quicker release.
Yeah. I don't think the 49ers want
it's a shame what happened to him.
It is, and I feel bad for him. I would if Brock comes back and plays like he has been playing, I think the play is, give him a 3-year contract with an out after 2 years. It's like $25 million per, like 50 guaranteed.
Something Geno like Smith that type of deal, a Baker Mayfield type of deal.
Yeah, like here you go. Here we're doing you a favor because you've done a lot for us over the last couple of years, and we believe in you. But you got to prove more to us. And not only that, like it's beyond his play. Let's be real here. This dude's been injured a lot.
That's the thing.
He's been injured quite a bit.
That's the thing.
And
that's the biggest thing.
You really don't.
We're not talking about an ankle. We're talking about his throwing arm, shoulder, elbow. Scary stuff. And this is a guy, again, who was like trying his hardest to find ways to get more velocity. And now, like, these are things that could take it away from him, and he doesn't have any velocity to spare.
I mean, I remember the narrative around Jimmy Garoppolo was he was injury prone, right? Mm-hmm. Like because of all his injuries. Brock has played how many games now? 35 games, and he's had like 2, 3, 4 injuries: a concussion, the shoulder, the elbow, the rib. He gets beat up quite a bit. I mean, Kyle could do him a favor and invest in this offensive line, get him a center that could actually pass block. But it is scary investing that much in a quarterback who seems to be injured quite a bit.
HR says, all of a sudden today, other podcasters are saying what only Grant has had the cojones to say before it was de rigueur. Man, you went Spanish and French in the same one. I love it. It does seem like a lot of people have been either giving Kyle the benefit of the doubt or have been afraid to sort of like really go after him publicly because there's so many people who defend him. But I think I think people are less afraid. I mean, Emmanuel Acho did it today. Wow. Yeah. And did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem when you're a pro-organization homer and all your takes. When the organization's not doing good, it's hard to stand on business, as the kids say. You and I and other people were right on the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. Took a lot of heat during that whole process. And then what happened? Came to fruition. You and I, other people have been talking about Kyle is lacking in certain areas, and we're starting to see that come to fruition. So, I'd rather 49ers be winning a Super Bowl, but it does. it is kind of justification.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Instead of like coming together, you sort of see like the Niners and the people around them pointing the finger. Like, whose fault is it? Oh, it's the defense. Oh, it's not Christian McCaffrey. He still has the birds. It's not Deebo Samuel's fault. It's like, yeah, protect the Cabo clique at all costs and throw everyone else under the bus. That's the way. That's the culture of the team, and I think Lombardi really mirrors it very well. The way he talks about the team is the way the team sees itself, which is a big problem with that culture. Like Lombardi has made his career on saying the Niners are the best team in the league, no matter what the results of the games are. I have a lot of advanced stats to prove it. Win the Super Bowl or lose the Super Bowl, the Niners are the best, and I have a million excuses with advanced stats, and people ate it up. But that is not what Niner fans want to hear right now because it's not the truth. It never was the truth. If the show ain't the truth now, and Niner fans feel like they've been lied to, that there's a collective delusion going on in Niner Nation, and I think people are desperate for reality and the truth. Like, why? What is going on, and why is it happening? And not that many people have the answers to that. I'm not saying I do, but at least we've been trying, Ryan.
Trying to evaluate fairly, giving criticism where it's due, and giving props where it's due as well. Like, I think that's the kind of coverage that I want as a 49ers fan, and that's what I try to give. And that's why I started watching your shows in the first place, because I don't always want to hear the homer stuff.
Thomas Messina says, why do Niners have to play 4 teams off a bye week and no other team has more than 2? Absolute disgrace. Okay, irresponsible speculation. Why is the league mad at the Niners? Is it possible that they complained all of Super Bowl week about the practice facilities that the league gave him? I don't know. Is it possible that they got in trouble, that the league is mad at them because of that counting error that cost the Niners a 5th round pick? I don't know.
Well, maybe the solution is when you are in the best opportunity to win the Super Bowl, you win it.
Do it.
So you don't have to complain about it and whine about it the next year.
There it is. Goldhouse says $60 million for a weak injury-prone arm. Rookie quarterbacks look good this year. Why not? Why not try next year's class? And it's like you can sort of hedge your bets. You don't have to cut Brock, trade Brock. He's under contract for another year. You don't have to alienate Brock. You can offer him a really fair contract given his injury history. Say, we love you. Here's 2 years. 2 years 50, 2 years 60, 3 years 90, 3 years 100. That's kind of fair. I mean, depending on how the season ends up. But and you can draft a quarterback.
They talked about leverage like last year with Brandon Ayuk in the offseason. 49ers have the leverage on Brock. It's, hey, here's 3 years without after 2, 25, 30 per. Take it or leave it. I mean, if you don't want to do it, what are your options? You play on 1.1 million or you hold out and we draft another quarterback. I mean, it's not going to be good for his next contract if he goes that route.
And the Niners have given out a lot of contracts to players who've had like one great year, and it hasn't gone so well. And like as much as you like Brock, he's had one great year, and he's had some injury issues too. So the Niners have to really get this right. And I don't see how they can just give him a 5-year, $250 million contract and be like, boom, security, we're good, we're set at the position, no problem.
I'm hoping they learn their lesson from that.
That's almost riskier than giving Tua that much money with his concussions. It's like, yeah, that's scary, but like the throwing arm is super duper scary. My goodness. It affects him every throw, every play. JT says, Grant Cohn, the new head coach for the Niners. Love you, bro. Man, bro. I'd have to pay me $14 million a year to do that. Refugio Gomez says, shut down anybody who's not 100% this lost season. Yeah.
If they lose to Buffalo, I know they're opening their practice window to Dre Greenlaw. And if they lose to Buffalo, though, they better not bring him back. Give him the whole. What's the point?
Shut down Christian, man. Rodney Heron says, why do we bid against ourselves when signing Debo, Bosa, BA, next up, Brock, Montana, Purdy? Yeah, like what other team would give Brock Purdy a 5-year contract offer? I don't think there would be one. Dale says, curse 2024 Cabo on 3 golf time. Let's freaking go. Jim Graham says, how likely Staley takes over at DC next week? More likely he gets fired. Well, I don't know. One of them, I mean, it's possible. They're not going to fire Sorensen yet. Dale says maybe they should invest in the line. Does it matter who plays quarterback with this O-line philosophy? Be fair and balanced here. Kyle kills quarterbacks. Yes, I do. Look, I'm not saying like Brock's injury prone. He really messed up his arm with this elbow thing. It may have led to a shoulder thing. And it's kind of tragic. I'm a little worried about Brock's longevity given what he's already gone through, not what he may go through. So that's what I'm at with him.
They definitely need a mobile quarterback, whatever the direction they go in, or at least somebody that gets it out quick, like a Tom Brady did. But it's out quick because this O-line's not built to pass protect.
Well, let me let's just go off the rails completely now, and talk about how they could potentially move forward. Look, we agree. Brock's shoulders concerning. The Niners need to be smart. You don't offer him a 5-year deal. Offer him something in between. Draft a quarterback. Hedge your bets. That's all. I think we kind of agree on that. But that's not what Kyle's going to do, especially if we tell him to do it. What he's going to do is trade for Kirk Cousins. Because here's the thing. He knows he can't scout quarterbacks or develop quarterbacks. He got lucky with Brock.
Yeah.
And even when he drafted Brock, he didn't know that Brock was the best quarterback on his team. He had no idea. He said he knew, but he didn't know. So he's got to have some self-awareness to know he can't do it twice. He's the same guy who drafted Trey Lance and CJ Beathard. He can't do it. So the one quarterback he has a good relationship with who will run his offense the way he wants it is Kirk. And they have Michael Penix Jr. over there. I think like you could get Kirk. It's not what Niner fans want, but if you guys want to give Kyle Shanahan one more chance, this is his last. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it.
Do it. I'm down. If they would have got Kirk Cousins, but instead of signing Jimmy Garoppolo, if they would have waited, got Kirk Cousins, Niners probably have a 6 Lombardi right now. That's my opinion. I think Kirk can make every throws. I think Kirk is a little underrated and hated on by 49er fans for whatever reason. He is he's a good quarterback. He's not mobile. He's going to have to get the ball out quick. 49ers going to have to invest in some protection for him. But there's no doubt in my mind that Kirk Cousins could run this offense exactly how Kyle wants it, and Kirk can make every throw on the field. I'd be down.
I think Goff is better than Kirk. Goff's been to a Super Bowl. Kirk hasn't done much in the playoffs, but I think the gap, they're pretty similar style of quarterback in terms of how they don't move that much and their arms. Maybe they're pretty freaking similar, man. And if the Lions can have that much success with Goff, then I could see Kyle saying, like, I know I could succeed with Kirk. I've been wanting to do this forever. The thing is, it just seems like with a quarterback like that, he needs to have a good offensive line, and they need to make more of an commitment to it than what they've done with Jimmy and Brock. Okay, you put Kirk behind this line, he'll get hurt. He already had an Achilles.
Here's the thing, man. Like we're talking about quarterback, what they could do at quarterback, and I'm down for Kirk Cousins. I know I'm probably in the minority here out of the 49ers fan base, but the problem is these guys are going to have to work magic this offseason. If you look at this team now, they're going to be a year older. The problem that you're seeing with a lot of these guys now is they're old. They're washed up. A lot of these dudes, Juice, Debo, CMC, Trent's getting a year older. How are they going to fill those gaps? How are they going to fill those voids? They have no D-line outside of Nick Bosa. They failed to draft any kind of replacement for Colton McKivitz, Jake Brendel, or Trent Williams. So regardless of who's at quarterback, you're going to have to work absolute magic this offseason to fill those voids.
True. Dale says the wild Brock speculation is off the charts today. Fair. I mean, the Niners have done this consistently throughout the year, like underreport a major injury to a significant player. And it went from, it's sore shoulder to he's not playing and we'll see if he plays next week. Like, is it not fair to be like, hey, maybe this is bad? I don't know.
Why be on the charts?
I wouldn't take it for granted. I want to see what he can do this week. He looked terrible against in hindsight, going back and watching that game against Seattle, knowing that his arm was messed up, he looked awful in that game. He was missing really easy throws that he normally makes.
He was I mean, there's a lot of things going on with Brock that are interesting. He's struggling in the red zone, obviously. The last two games, he hasn't taken the top off at all. He's creating with his feet, but the question is it too much? Like, is he missing open opportunities that he had if he would have just pulled the trigger? It's really Brock hasn't been great since Baltimore. Like, after that game, he has not been great.
Gold's House is signing Brock up for BJJ. I don't know what that means.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, sure.
Well, how would
that's work for Tua, right? Although he got hurt again. Shady Luke says, I hope the Niners learn from this season that you don't have to give in and pay everybody top dollar. Shout out to Howie Roseman. Saquon is cheap for Philly. Yeah, I think the Niners really compromised. I think Kyle Shanahan compromised his authority, just giving Brandon Ayuk whatever he wanted after trying to push back against it. I mean, Deebo Samuel's become a complete diva, making all that money doing nothing and checking the specialists on the team. It seems like by paying everyone on the team, Kyle Shanahan kind of lost some respect. I don't know if respect's the word, but no one's scared of him anymore. No one has anything.
Yeah, I don't know. Am I freezing or is it you freezing?
It's you.
Yeah, sorry guys. I apologize for that. Let me turn off my Wi-Fi on my phone. In hindsight, right? Hindsight, looking back, this was the season to move some dudes and start a rebuild. Trade some guys a year early, right? Bill Walsh was saying it's famous for saying trade guys a year early versus a year late. It's hard. Like, to their credit, like to their defense, you just went to a Super Bowl. You just went to a Super Bowl and lost in overtime. How are you going to be like, okay, sell everybody? Right? Like, I don't, that's hard to see, but in hindsight, that's what they should have done.
And you look at a team like the Packers. I mean, they have a bunch of good wide receivers. None of them makes a lot of money. I mean, no one's making Debo or Ayuk money. Josh Jacobs is arguably better than Christian McCaffrey, at least right now, and he's not making Christian McCaffrey money. Like, really, in hindsight, that Christian McCaffrey contract was the worst one this offseason. The Niners didn't know that Brandon Ayuk was going to get hurt, and maybe if he didn't get hurt, he would have rounded into form. Although I don't know. But Christian, man, like, you made him the highest played running back in the league at his age, coming off what he's coming off. That was bad.
Yeah, that's one they could have saw in advance, right? He was injured at the end of the season. They knew he was still working through something, and they paid him anyways. That's one there's really no justification for. I would have wanted let's see you come back and actually play in a game, and then we'll work on your contract type thing. And now they're in a tough spot because is he ever going to return to the Christian McCaffrey we've seen before? And now they're stuck paying him. And they got Jordan Mason, who's going to be a restricted free agent. Are they going to be able to match whatever offer he gets? What are they going to do at running back? So that one is definitely ugly, and it's something they could have seen up front.
Baby Radiant says Sorensen should be fired by now. And Andrew Hatley says, do you think Kyle is losing the locker room yet? I think he's been losing the locker room all year, and I think that's what people are afraid to say. I think he's been right in front of our faces. Like, the whole Brandon Ayuk thing. Brandon Ayuk all offseason at training camp was kind of thumbing his nose at Kyle, being like, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I'm here. I'm not practicing. You're not finding me. What are you going to do about it? Then he gets his money. Give me my money. Every freaking red cent that I wanted. Then he goes in and starts playing power games, little mind games with Kyle about what shorts he's wearing. Like, that's a slap in the face. I don't respect you. I'm going to do what I want to do. I feel like if I were head coach and my players started doing stuff like that, I'd be like, man, you really don't respect me anymore. Like, you're trying to show me up and show the team that you're in control. And I feel like, I mean, Debo did it. Debo slapped the freaking long snapper, and Kyle's over here being like, oh, it was just a baby punch. And then the long snapper overreacted. Like, whoa, buddy, you're losing the locker room, and you're like pandering to the guys who don't seem to respect you like they should.
Well, there's two guys I guarantee you he's lost. I'm not sure how important it is because of their ranking on the totem pole of 49ers in the locker room, but I promise you two things. Josh Dobbs said when he was announced to be QB3, he said he feel like he earned it. And I'm sure he saw Brandon Allen march out there with a splint on his finger, fumble the ball twice, and Josh Dobbs is feeling some type of way. I can promise you that. And I can also promise you that Jordan Mason, who was the third leading rusher in the NFL, trending to be the fifth leading rusher on the 49ers in the history of the 49ers, I can promise you that he's lost. Kyle Shanahan has lost him based on him just extinguishing Jordan Mason from the rotation. It's just unfathomable what he did to Jordan Mason. I promise you he's pissed off.
And what about Nick Bosa? I mean, Nick Bosa didn't seem to like Steve Wilks. That was Kyle Shanahan's choice. Kyle Shanahan fires Steve Wilks, brings in Nick Sorensen, and I mean, he elevates Nick Sorensen and brings in Brandon Staley, and now they're like way worse. I mean, at what point are these players on defense going to look around and be like, man, we suck, one, and two, we trusted Kyle to get us the right coordinator. We have like one of the worst coordinators in football, and it's been like that. I mean, I'm not gonna dump on Steve Wilks. I think he's underrated, but I don't think Bosa liked him. I think from Bosa's perspective, Kyle's over his last two choices at D coordinator. He's wasting Bosa's career, and it may not just be Bosa. Who knows? It could be Fred White. It could be the whole defense.
Yeah. And then they didn't invest in any help for him. I mean, Leonard Floyd had a good game yesterday, but I think that's because, lack of, no one else was there.
They can't even stop the run.
They can't stop the run. They look awful.
I don't give a damn about their pass rush. They can't stop the run.
This team's identity was defense and stopping the run, and they are the opposite of that right now. Their identity.
They can cover, but their defense is soft. Yeah. And that's what you call a defense that can't stop the run. I'm sorry. Like, they're soft. And they didn't used to be soft. They used to be like the toughest defense in the league. They gave up sorry. Shady Luke says, I've always thought Shanny is overrated, but I don't think he needs to be fired. But he for sure needs a talk. Dude is smart, just needs to grow. Dude, people always say that, though. He needs to grow. He needs to mature. He needs to make an adjustment. Someone needs to talk to him. Man, he hasn't changed at one iota since he entered the league in 2008. You don't think people have had a talk with him yet? You don't? This is Kyle. This is what makes Kyle, his unrelenting stubbornness.
Yeah, and it starts with like the problem with the biggest one of the biggest problems with Kyle Shanahan is his philosophy and how he approaches the offensive line. And I don't think you're going to change that philosophy for him. He's dug in on that, and he believes that you don't need to invest heavily in the early rounds and build an offensive line. You just need a specific kind of lineman that fits his system. And I don't think that's ever going to change. And to me, if that doesn't change, nothing really will. Like, I think
what we're seeing with him too is like, okay, you have Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey. Like, you have talent, but it's not exactly the same configuration of talent that you had before with the gadget guy and the positionless running back and the true X receiver. Like, you had a specific formula the last couple of years and it worked. Now it's like you have a lot of talent. It's just a totally different combination. And it's like, all right, Kyle, be creative. Like, figure something out where Jordan Mason and Christian McCaffrey are on the field together. And he won't do it because he has a scheme. And that scheme calls for use check on the field and certain things. And it's like, he really isn't that. He doesn't really think outside the box very much. He's very locked into his paradigm, which is his scheme.
And he's also locked in the guys. There's no meritocracy. And I don't know if that's going to change either. Like, someone's going to have to overstep him and say, look, I don't care if you're friends with Juice. I don't care if you're friends with CMC. I don't care if you're friends with Debo. You have to play the best player. And he's not doing that. And I don't know if that's going to ever change either.
I mean, one of the things about the Patriots culture with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick is that played the best players. It didn't matter how much you were making or where you were drafted. And it didn't matter if you were the greatest player of all time or a special teams guy. Bill Belichick would talk to you the same way and hold you accountable the same way in front of the team. And one of the ways he set that culture was by really being critical of Tom Brady in front of everyone and Tom allowing it, at least for a long time. Kyle doesn't seem to be that way. It seems like he's critical with people like Jake Moody, or not even Jake Moody, Tabor Pepper. But when it comes to actually saying something about Debo, it's crickets.
Right.
And that's a problem. You got to hold everyone accountable the same way, especially your friends.
He's not I don't like using this word because it's overused, but he's not the alpha in the room. Right. Nope. He's underneath certain players and he's scared.
He's sidling up to certain alphas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Nicholas says, I've been lied to and I'm desperate for the truth. Yeah. As Williams says, play Mason. Yeah, right. Jim Graham says Brock's injuries are O-line issue equals Kyle Shanahan issue. Yeah. Bill Kennedy says, I'm no expert, but Mason and CMC should be playing together in the backfield. Why is Kyle so stubborn? Because he's a scheme coach. He's a system coach. We talked about Brock being a system quarterback. Kyle's a system coach.
Yeah.
He doesn't color too far out of those lines.
You see a lot of those guys in coaching throughout all levels, and they seem to win. Like, if you have a good system, it works, and you win a lot of games, 70-75% of your games, but then you meet teams that are not system coaches and know how to expose your weaknesses, and you don't adjust because you're stuck within your system and you don't play to the strengths of your players, and you ultimately don't win the big games. Yeah,
Kyle's like, this worked in 2023. We're going to do it the same way. Well, Christian McCaffrey isn't the same guy he was last year. Debo Samuel isn't the same guy he was last year. Jawan Jennings is balling, but he's not Brandon Ayuk. They're totally different players. Like, all it takes is some creativity. Andy Reid could figure it out. Andy Reid would have a really and here's how you know Kyle's messing up. Because when McCaffrey was out and he was forced to play Garendo and Jordan Mason, they were averaging 26 points per game. But since McCaffrey came back and Kyle Shanahan's lack of creativity has gotten in the way, 16 points per game. That shouldn't happen. Yeah. Adding Christian McCaffrey should only make it better. But they've overused him, buried the other guys, and that's had a very negative impact. And that's all on Kyle's poor decision-making.
And let me share this too. Dolphins are 21st in red zone, touchdowns per red zone trip. The Rams are 26th. The Niners are 27th. And the Packers are 28th. So this whole offensive system, this genius system that everything's based around with the 49ers is struggling throughout the league to score. The NFL has figured it out.
True. I will say, though, I really liked the Packers offense. I mean, Jordan Love is an arsonist. That guy's dying to throw interceptions, but I like the scheme. I like the way they run the ball. And I like that even though they had Josh Jacobs, who was having like an all-time great game, he was killing the Niners. And he like forced like 9 missed tackles in the first quarter or something. It was crazy. They still found a way to get 2 other running backs involved in the game. It was not just Josh Jacobs. It was a 3-headed monster in Green Bay. And it's like the Niners could do the same thing, but Kyle chooses not to. And it's like it'd be one thing if Christian McCaffrey was, scoring a touchdown every game and averaging 5.5 yards a carry like last year. You get it, even though it's irresponsible considering what he's coming off of. But he's not even doing that. It's like it's so easy to go to. It's like the bare minimum you can do as a coach is to ride the hot hand. Pause, and he can't even do that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was watching the Packers, and I thought they could have ran the ball more. And I thought Jordan Love was begging to give this game to the 49ers, and the 49ers just couldn't capitalize. Jordan Love was begging to give the turnover the ball, and the 49ers couldn't capitalize on it. So, I walked away from that game thinking the Packers weren't that good. We're just awful. That's how I felt.
The Niners kept trying to get Christian McCaffrey on the edges with those toss plays, and he'd run sideways, 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and it wasn't working. It seemed clear that the Packers were loaded up to set the edge and were vulnerable between the tackles. And if you want to run between the tackles, you want to do that with Jordan Mason. And that's why he went for 16 on his first carry. So I don't know. I'm just quality control. I'm trying the best I can. NorCal Refrigeration and HVAC says in the old days, Niners win by 3 and the fans would call Rich and want to get rid of everyone.
Call Rich. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm a little confused by that one. Alan Bull 2024 loading says fictional Bane and Music 88. Yeah. Who's the best? Who's the better Alan? Tough one. Patrick 30 Cummings says, hey, Grant, what do you think about Coach Yak accusation of you buying subs on YouTube? It's not true. It's something called promotions. And what it is it's sort of like a billboard for yourself on YouTube. It's advertising. It's a feature of YouTube, and there's also something on Google called Google Promotions, which I like to use the YouTube. I just found out about it a couple of months ago. It's a game changer. And here's the thing. All your favorite content creators do it. So I just learned recently. And the way I look at it is it's probably casual Niner fans, because if you're a diehard Niner fan, you've probably heard of me by now. And you've either blocked me or subscribed to me. So there's a lot of casual fans like, oh, this is interesting, Niners coverage. And so they probably won't be tuning in every day for injury updates. But when something pops off, there'll be a lot more people around. So I think
it's funny. I'll leave the names out of it. That one of the people that accused you of buying subs jumped 5,000 subscribers in 4 hours one day. And there's a difference in like buying bots who aren't real people who just like goose up your numbers, and like paying for an ad that real people have to watch and click on. Like, yeah, I'm going for the casual fans. Hell yeah, I want the casual fans. Why not? Yeah, go.
Absolutely. But they're actual people.
There's people that have twice as many subscribers as I do, and I do better on my live streams than they do. Yes. So those are the people you need to question about whether they bought subscribers or not.
Yeah, like if you have 130,000 subscribers and you got 1,100 people on your last live, like where's your audience? What happened? Is your audience real?
Right.
Yeah. Patrick 30 Cummings, good question. Glad I could explain that one. Bill Kennedy says Brock had his arm amputated today. Oh, by the way, Jim Graham says Kirk Cousins, ha 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 ha. Ryan is tripping goofy. You've been watching him this year. Silliness. Dale says Krug thinks Kyle could leave at the end of the year. Sabbatical, stressed. Boy looks old. Plus, all the coordinators need to go anyways. Wow, that's an interesting thing that Krug said. He thinks Kyle could leave at the end of the year. Sabbatical, stressed. Boy looks old. Plus, all the coordinators need to go anyways. Wow.
I don't think he leaves $14 million a year. Deal with it.
I mean, he's a very confident guy. People have always said he'd get another job as soon as he wants one.
Oh, he would.
Maybe he's like, look, man, Brock's damaged goods. His team is old. I've lost the locker room. Like, I'm not going to say it, but I'm done. Like, I'm not going to win a Super Bowl here. Like, this needs a full rebuild and I can't do it. Like, I'm out. I don't know. Irresponsible speculation, but what if he feels that way?
That's a stretch for me. I don't see it, but you never know.
I know Niner fans don't want to think about that, but like Kyle's brutally honest. He could be like, nope, Brock ain't it. And he would have proven it by now. And freaking Christian McCaffrey, like that's my bad. Sorry about that. Definitely shouldn't have given Christian McCaffrey that extension, but I did. And that's going to cripple what we want to do. And I mean, God. So yeah. Bail?
So basically file bankruptcy on this team and move on. Yeah. I kind of made a mess here. Let me go over here. Nah.
If anyone would do that.
Yeah.
Kyle. Bill Kennedy says, "Will you continue to travel with the team? How was media hospitality compared to Levi's?" Yeah, I'm not missing this season for anything. This feels like the crossroads, to quote Bone Thugs and Harmony. I want to be there for that. So he won't be lonely.
This offseason is going to be interesting. Yeah,
quite interesting. Daz, so I'll be in Buffalo this weekend, and then I'll be in Miami in a few weeks, and then Arizona. Daza says, how many more losses before the locker room implodes? I can see a divide between the vets and the young stars, rookies potentially. Or before they just become apathetic. Be like, you know what?
Whatever. I feel like that's where I feel like that's where they're at. I don't feel like
we have injuries.
They don't care enough, I don't think.
We have injuries.
Yeah, they're like,
Shyla Q says, is there anyone on the staff that can force Kyle to put Mason on the field? Are there any free agents right now to help our D-line? These are good questions. One, no. The only person that can make it happen would be like not even Mike Shanahan. Maybe Jed can make that happen.
Yeah, I like the Shyla super chat, and I like it when they're female subscribers. I looked at my subscriber count, and it's like 96% dudes.
Yeah, 4% girl. Wow, women.
Yeah, women.
Shyla, any free agents right now that help our D-line? Yikes! Not that I know of.
I don't know any. I don't know any.
It's a little late.
Now.
Aaron Donald.
Bring Aaron Donald back.
KOSEG says Kyle ruins players' careers, self-esteem, and chances at a Super Bowl. The only thing he does is gets the ones he likes the bag. He's not a good coach.
Whew. I think Kyle has strengths.
You know how I feel about Kyle.
Let me share something with you guys. I want to share something. It was interesting because 49er fans, like, what is the perception of Nick Sirianni to you, Grant? Like, what did 49? What's the perception from 49 fans about Nick Sirianni?
That he's petulant and not a real leader and doesn't really do much, and he's like has like a negative impact on his team.
And he's trash, right? He's not a good coach.
He's trash. Yeah, he's a total fraud, and he's just like a rah guy who tries to like a fake tough guy who doesn't really do any coaching.
So here's some interesting stuff. If you compare overall career records, Nick Sirianni has a better career record than Kyle Shanahan. I posted that on Twitter and was like, yeah, but Kyle Shanahan inherited a bad roster. Nick Sirianni took over a great roster. I said, okay, well, let's compare from when Nick Sirianni was hired, 2021 till now. He still has a better career record than Kyle Shanahan.
Didn't Sirianni take over a team that went like 4-12?
Right. And but everyone's like, hey, they had the roster. Kyle
Shanahan inherited DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, Jimmy Ward, Jaquiski Tartt. Like, there was a lot of talent on that defense, which was the star of the team for a while. So he tore down the offense. He certainly did do that, and there wasn't a lot there left on offense. But he's the one that wanted Brian Hoyer, not Colin Kaepernick. Like, he's the one who wanted freaking, I don't know.
But take that out of it. Yeah. Kyle Shanahan was hired in 2017. 2021, that's 4 years of him building this roster exactly how he wanted it. And if you just compare their records from 2021 till now, Sirianni still has a better record than Kyle Shanahan. So
there's certain coaches that can turn around a team right away. And like one of those coaches is Harbaugh. And I think with Kyle, like he gets a lot of credit for going to those Super Bowls and NFC Championship games. That's true. But he's on the verge of his 4th losing season in 8 seasons. Who does that?
And
4-8?
I'm not a Sirianni fan. I'm just trying to share this to prove a point to you guys that Kyle is not this elite genius. If you think Sirianni's trash and you think Kyle's a genius, you got to kind of recalculate that. Look at the records. It speaks for itself.
Dale says Debo got a C on his chest. Why? He does he not have to talk at the podium? I mean, he had 1 catch in Green Bay. So special. Even his podcast sucks. Yeah, to me, if you're a captain, that means you don't just talk after games. You go to the podium. Kittle does it every week. Warner does it every week. Bosa does it every week. Purdy, well, he's the quarterback. But I think Debo, like, you want to be a captain, that's part of it. And especially when you put yourself, when you do that to Jake Moody and Tabor Pepper, you have to face the music yourself. Christian McCaffrey did. Here's the thing. Christian McCaffrey is no one's that hard on Christian McCaffrey because he's like super hard on himself. And he does everything within his power to like if he's not struggling right now, it's not because he's like not trying hard enough. It's not because he doesn't care. But with Debo, you wonder, right? It's like, are you really doing everything in your power to be your best? And do you even care that you're not at your best right now? That's always been the question with him. You can't have that question with a captain.
He's never been. That's not his strength. Maybe his captain was in the past playing like when he's on the field, how hard he runs with the ball in his hand. Maybe that's where his captain evaluation comes from. But as far as like speaking and leadership vocally and verbally, that's never been his strength.
We know why he's captain.
Yeah.
There's one main reason. Carol T says Kyle fails to adjust within and across games. I'm sick of his arrogance and narcissism.
Carol. Shout out to Carol.
Todd Larone Gaming says, bring back Salah if you can. Bring Mason and G instead of Juice on some 2-back sets. Yeah. From your lips to God's ears. Dale says, Kyle aged like Obama. Just saying. Dude, I've been saying that, man. He's looked burnt out since the offseason. Okay. News. Dre Greenlaw's practice window is opening up this week. That means he can practice for the next 3 weeks and not be on the 53-man roster. And at any time, the Niners can decide that he's ready and activate him and play him. If they don't do that in the next 21 days, he's done for the year. That just happened to John Feliciano. They started his practice window. He practiced. It didn't go so well. 21 days passed. They didn't activate him. He's done for the year. And that means that he might be done for his career. Greenlaw. So they have 3 weeks to look at him and to look at the team and to look at the season and decide whether it's worth it. What level of conservative caution do you think the Niners should display with Greenlaw?
I don't think we should see Greenlaw this year. And the reason why I say that is because I think the 49ers are going to lose to the Bills. I think most people would probably agree. I'd be surprised. Maybe they pull it off somehow. But they need to look like a completely different team than the team we saw yesterday. If somehow they beat the Bills and they beat Chicago, then you suit them up for the Lions game after that. Otherwise, if they lose to the Bills, what's the point of bringing back Greenlaw? Now, I know he's a free agent, so I don't know how much the 49ers care or want to see what happens with Greenlaw. Maybe they pocket him and save him and hope to re-sign him. I don't know. But if they don't beat the Bills, which I don't think is going to happen, I don't see the point of bringing Greenlaw back. Let him just recuperate and become 100% next year for whether he's on the Niners or somewhere else.
That means he's playing in Buffalo. It's your fault too. Kyle's watching and he's like, "Oh, what should I do, Ryan? What? Tell me again. Oh, don't play Greenlaw. He's playing this weekend and he's going to play 100% of the snaps." I'm only partly joking here. Like that's Kyle. Oh, like should I do like the common sense thing that anyone would do and just be a little cautious? No, I'm Kyle Shanahan and do it my way, which is the wrong way. And they did it. I'm sorry. Like I don't have any faith in him to be prudent with Dre Greenlaw. And here's why I feel that way. Last night after the game, Matt Mayoko pressed Kyle about the lack of physicality on offense and defense. And he immediately went to the injury excuse. He's like, well, I'm missing some guys. When you're missing Dre Greenlaw, it's going to hurt. It's like, well, you haven't had him all year. But, okay, if that's something you have to answer for and that's your solution, then I can see him going back out there, especially if, like, jobs are on the line.
I can't see him playing this weekend. That would be so irresponsible. But, hey, you never know. I don't think Greenlaw's going to be 100%.
Irresponsible? Never.
I don't think Greenlaw's going to be 100% until next year. Even if he comes back and plays this year, I still don't think he's going to be Greenlaw until next year, coming off that Achilles.
Possible. I would agree. I mean, again, it hasn't even been like 9 months yet. It's still, or maybe it was just the 9-month mark. So yeah slow down.
I talk to the doctor Narav Panya quite often, and he always talks about how when you come back from injury, that first year or so, even though you can play and you're on the field and you're playing, you're still not quite yourself until the following year. And then it becomes like you don't think about it anymore. You're just playing free 100%. And so I don't think Greenlaw is going to be himself until next year anyways. I think you protect Greenlaw and you try to re-sign him and keep him. They definitely need him because he's the enforcer on this team. Warner missed 4 tackles yesterday. Even when he's doing good, he's not that guy. All they got right now is Malik Mustafa that like makes people think twice. Playing the 49ers defense, they need Greenlaw back big time if they're going to have a future moving forward. So that's what I would do.
All right, sleeper time. Yo, I won last week. Jacobs over 70 Easy. McCaffrey, no touchdowns. Sorry to be a hater, but sometimes being a hater is profitable. George Kittle obviously scores a touchdown. Ricky Pearsall, no freaking way is he scoring a touchdown. I don't know if it's his fault or not. Jordan Love tried to hook me up. He tried so hard. I'm not mad at that pick. He did his part. He controlled what he could control. And then Jake Moody, I don't know what I was thinking on that one.
7.5 kicking points. Yeah, I bet on him to make 2 field goals yesterday. I was tripping.
Here's another one. Jordan Love going for less. I like that pick. I don't know if I made it. It might have been someone else. Josh Jacobs going for more. Duh. Russell Wilson going for more. Yes. TJ Watt and Jameis Winston. I don't know why I picked them. That was bad. But I won anyway. I won $390 on that one, and I won $660. That's almost $10. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's keep it rolling considering we're on a freaking heater tonight. Yeah. Baltimore Chargers. Justin Herbert. What do you like with Justin Herbert? How about no picks?
I'm excited about this game. I really am. It's a good game. I want to see Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. This is going to be great.
I feel like I'm excited too. Do you want to do rushing yards? They've been starting to run him a little bit more.
Over 21.5 is quite a bit. It seems like he's done
65 last week and 32 the week before that. Or you could do interceptions. He hasn't it's only one all year.
Oh, he's only had one all year playing against his defense. Yep. He's due. Yep. He's due. It's coming.
Oh, no way. I'm not picking that. No, no way. What? No way.
Hey, remember this. Clip it. Remember this when he throws that pick tonight. I'm gonna send you a text.
Hell no.
I'm like, look, Grant. All right,
I'll do it because you're the guest of honor. I'll do it, but I strenuously disagree. Lamar Jackson.
I want you to disagree, so I want you to not to do it. Just so I can text you and be like, see you, Grant. Go ahead.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Lamar Jackson. What are we doing with him?
Man, what are the options we got here, man? What are the
pass
options?
And rush yards? 283 combined.
Oh yeah, against the Chargers defense.
It's good defense.
That's tough, man. Monday night. I'm saying yes. I'm saying up.
Yes, he will.
Yes, he will.
All right. Okay. Derrick Henry. Rushing yards. 86.5.
I'm gonna say under.
Okay.
Less.
All right. Dobbins, 47.5.
I'm gonna go up over. More on that.
I like that. Okay. Lad McConkey, the guy the Niners could have had, but they took Ricky Pearsall, 67.5 receiving yards.
Shoot. I'm gonna say under.
Okay.
Less.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's stick there. Isaiah Likely, 2.5 catches.
I think it's likely that he gets it. Boom.
Boom. Boom. Boom. Boom. All right. Those are my picks for tonight. You download the app, use promo code Cohn. I'm giving away the Ricky Pearsall jersey tomorrow. I'm announcing a winner tomorrow. So get in on that now before it's too late. Okay. Brandon Allen started. He made some nice throws. Yeah. He threw 2 passes that could have gotten picked. One was picked. He also fumbled twice. Joshua Dobbs didn't play. This was Brandon Allen's first start in 3 years. He looked a little rusty and statuesque. What did you think of the decision? Oh, and broken finger on his left hand, broken middle finger on his left hand in a cold, windy, rainy game where he fumbled twice. What do you think of the decision to start Brandon Allen? And full disclosure, he's starting this weekend if Brock Purdy can't go, according to Kyle.
Yeah, that was announced. I think it was pretty obvious that Joshua Dobbs looked like the better quarterback in the preseason. Joshua Dobbs believes that was the case. He spoke about it and said as much. I ran a poll on Twitter. 80% of Niner fans agreed that Joshua Dobbs looked like the better quarterback over Brandon Allen. So I don't understand it. I think the reasoning behind it for Kyle Shanahan is Brandon Allen can run the system better, even though Joshua Dobbs is, if there is a genius on this team, it's probably Joshua Dobbs, not Kyle Shanahan. This guy is extremely smart. He can create when there's nothing there, which is what Brock Purdy's been doing for Kyle Shanahan and this offense. I think it's an absolute mistake, especially if you have a broken hand and you're playing in weather, and it's not going to be better. It's not going to be easier in Buffalo. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that splint in the slush. I think it's a mistake, and it's one of those things. It's like, why the hell aren't you running Jordan Mason? Same thing for me. Like, why aren't you playing Joshua Dobbs? I don't understand it. I'm not a genius.
To me, like, Dobbs has way more in common with Purdy than Allen does. Like, if you want to run the offense you've been running with Purdy, which is a guy who can roll left, roll right, scramble, that's not Brandon Allen. That's Dobbs and Purdy. And I think what's interesting is, like, I don't think Kyle wants a scrambling quarterback. When Brock Purdy goes off script, I don't think Kyle likes it. And I wonder if Kyle likes Brock Purdy as much as some Niner fans do. I think his ideal quarterback is Kirk Cousins, a guy who stands still and says, sir, yes, sir, and throws where Kyle wants it to be thrown. And that's Brandon Allen. He's not as good as it. He's not as good at Kirk Cousins as that at that type of quarterback style, but that's his style, and that's Kyle's favorite style. And again, that's why I feel like he's going to trade for Kirk Cousins, because that's what he wants.
I mean, the system is above everything else with Kyle Shanahan, and that's what he wants to see. He doesn't want you scrambling unless there's absolutely no other options available. And he should know, he's a head coach in the NFL, how hard it is. And I think a lot of fans don't. We go back and we watch the All-22 and we're like, but wait, so-and-so is open over there. Like, it's very hard to play quarterback and see everything. That expectation shouldn't be there for 49ers fans. And I think for Kyle, it is. If you missed an open guy and you ran instead, that's you're not running my system. And I think that's the problem.
Kyle can have whatever reasons he wants to start Brandon Allen over Josh Dobbs, but I think it falls in line with his mismanagement of the roster that's been going on all year. Like, okay, you can do whatever you want. You're the coach, but Josh Dobbs would have given the Niners a better chance to win. He's less rusty, he's more mobile, and he has 10 healthy fingers. The fact that you played a dude with a splint on his hand and he fumbled twice, that's on you. I don't give a damn how he runs your offense in practice or what his arm is like or he had a broken finger. You played him. He fumbled twice. That's on you. Yeah. And that's, again, like not playing the right punt returner, not playing Jawan Jennings until it was too late, playing too much use check, sticking with Debo, like on and on and on. All these things. Why is Kyle? What is his master plan, man? He's just not locked in.
Yeah. The system trumps everything. The system trumps everything for Kyle. And I don't fucking get it, man. I don't get, excuse my language, I don't understand Kyle, brother. He really pisses me off. I mean, nobody in the NFL thinks Brandon Allen is a good quarterback. Joshua Dobbs started, had success. We saw what he did in the preseason, created when things weren't there. He made things happen. He has to get away from the system is what's most important. I want to see you do it the way I want you to do it. I just want results, right? Like, there's a lot of film watchers. Shout out to Rich Madrid. Shout out to Johnny Dales. They're both cool. I'm friends with both of them, but they're evaluating Christian McCaffrey, and they're like, versus Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason's not reading the blocks correctly. So what? His yards per carry is more. He's having more success. I don't care if he's reading the blocks correctly, running in the right hole or not. He is producing at a higher level. And it's the same thing with Josh Dobbs and Brandon Allen, and it drives me freaking crazy. Josh Dobbs can make things happen, whether he's doing it in Kyle's system or above it. It doesn't matter. Produce. That's all that should freaking matter.
And to me, it's like they signed Dobbs not to really compete with Brandon Allen. They signed Dobbs so that they could make Brandon Allen the number 2 quarterback. They thought Brandon Allen's really good. That's who they wanted. Like, they got rid of Trey Lance because they thought 32-year-old Brandon Allen was a terrific investment as a number 2 quarterback. I'm not saying Lance is better than Allen. I don't know. But they got rid of Lance for this guy. They could have went out and gotten Malik Willis. The Packers traded a 7th-round pick for him. And they won games with him multiple games with Malik Willis. They could have went out and got Mac Jones, who Kyle Shanahan loved once upon a time. No, this was your guy. This was your choice, Brandon Allen. Why? Because he runs the system well. Well, 10 points, 2 turnovers. That's what you got. So you were wrong. And I think year 8, and these things pile up where, like, Kyle Shanahan just can't evaluate the players on his team. Like, when you start to lose confidence, you thought Brandon Allen was really good. You didn't think Brock Purdy was good. You didn't. He was 3rd on your depth chart, and he got in the game. If those guys hadn't gotten hurt, Brock Purdy never would have played. And the Niners never would have known.
And this time, I think we remind, like, he got rid of Trey Lance because he believed in, Darnold, Brandon Allen. But he also got rid of 3 first-round draft picks to get Trey Lance. He was wrong about that too. And I think people always forget about that. Like, number one believer in Trey Lance was Kyle Shanahan. He traded 3 first-round draft picks for him. He's been wrong nonstop on quarterbacks. It's one of his biggest weaknesses.
He hasn't been right yet. Joshua Wyatt says, for the math, the Niners have to beat either the Lions or the Bills. Which of those games is viable? And if it's neither, then when do you shut down CMC? I think more the Lions one, because their whole team could get food poisoning the night before. Bills, it seems like Josh Allen's going to play and the Niners are going to give up 45. That's just what it seems like, but I don't know.
I think they lose both, unfortunately.
And when do you shut down CMC? Like, I don't even know if you need to shut him down. Maybe getting him out there and getting his feet wet is good, but like the whole thing is get his feet wet, throw him the ball. Running him at all doesn't seem to be working and doesn't seem to be helping anything. I don't know.
The 49ers have not beat, help me if I'm wrong, they have not beat a team over 500 this year.
They beat the Seahawks, who are technically now one game over 500.
Now over 500. Basically, any capable team is going to be the 49ers.
And it's like if the Niners find a way to win the division, which I guess they could, who cares? They're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. You know how I know? Because I've watched this team all year.
Yeah.
Anyone else who's watched them deep down knows it's true, including them. If I send you a lock-in tee, will you wear it? Of course. Official BNM Music 88 says Debo declined to speak after the game. He's been declining all year. So yeah, T.O. and Brent Jones was right. Bet he won't respond to Brent. Yeah, man, Debo, like, it's one thing to clap back at me or your long snapper, but when it's, people in the 49ers Hall of Fame, some of the champions, well, T.O.'s not a champion, but some of the players who are better than you, more significant to the history of the franchise than you should listen.
Yeah.
All day, every day. Kim says, Kyle's stubborn nature reminds me of Tom Coughlin. He couldn't win till he adjusted to the personnel, not the other way around. He almost lost the team. Tom Coughlin was salty. Dazza says, after yesterday, the Niners don't deserve my Sundays. The rest of the year, it was just pathetic. Oh, come on. But I do.
I believe I've watched every single 49ers game since like 1995. Even when they were absolute dog water, I watched them. I don't know why. It's like my favorite thing to watch on TV, 49ers games. Good or bad.
Yeah. Lever says, how long are we stuck with this old, slow ass team? Forever and ever. Kyle's he's gonna stick with this group. Habitual line stepper.
Just drops $100. Just drops a C note on you. Hey, are you subscribed to my channel? Habitual line stepper. You should be subscribed to my channel. Just saying.
Yeah, mine too. Habitual line stepper. Thanks for the $110. Yeah. Pancho Loco says Kyle would bring back Sean Hill before putting in Dobbs. Christopher says Debo's not locked in. Okay. So this season, this calendar year was going so well until overtime in the Super Bowl when it all fell apart, and then the Niners responded by firing Steve Wilks. I think it's fair to say that maybe it was the right move to fire Steve Wilks, but the way they replaced him was not right. They went from having the third best defense to one that's like ranked 20 something, and the combination of Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley. What do you think? How are they doing?
Anyone that cows on the field is a bad sign to sign him. I'm going to say it right there. Nick, this defense is ranked 25th. Steve Wilks was third.
They don't even tackle. They don't do the basics.
But here's my problem. How can you say, oh, we need to fire special teams coach? We need to fire the defense coordinator. We need to fire the special teams coach because they're 28th or whatever they are in the NFL. We need to fire Nick Sorensen because he's 25th in the NFL. When the offense is 27th in the red zone. How can you justify firing those guys because they're not performing when you're not performing? And I'm talking about Kyle Shanahan. Should they be fired? Absolutely. But, why are we only having conversations about Nick Sorensen and Schneider and no one wants to talk about Kyle? There's people that love Kyle Shanahan that are saying fire Nick Sorensen, fire Schneider, but don't want to say anything about the 27th best red zone offense in the NFL. I don't understand that hypocrisy.
It's true. Agree. Why do you think Kyle Shanahan just won't play Jordan Mason? He had to play him. It was working. He leaned into it. Christian McCaffrey comes back. He's clearly struggling. Just use your eyes and ask Christian. And Kyle's like, nope, everything looks fine. Christian's not the problem. We don't need Jordan. We're fine scoring 10 points. Why do you think this is?
Mostly because the history between their families, and he's a fan. I think that's what it boils down. There's no logical explanation. So I'm trying to just figure out something that I could like put myself in Shanahan's shoes. You've been friends with the McCaffreys your whole entire life. Christian McCaffrey was your offensive player of the year. You are a fan of his, as you are a fan of many players, not necessarily the coach, not willing to make the decision that's based on meritocracy, but you're a fan of that. That's the only thing that I can put out there as a possible reason, because it doesn't make any sense to me. At least play Mason 20% of the snaps, 30% of the snaps, but to just eliminate him essentially from the entire lineup for 3 weeks straight, I don't know. I have no idea.
You got to remember that Kyle Shanahan was one of the main reasons that Christian McCaffrey got this extension. I think he probably went to upper management and said, we need this. They have to do this.
Yeah.
So for him to like do an about face 6 months later, 8 months later and say, ha, oops, sorry, I was wrong. But at least Jordan Mason's good. I mean, that's kind of what he did with Trey Lance, right? Hey, like, oops, sorry, we'd spent all these draft picks on Trey and we didn't even really give him a chance. But like, you know, LOL, we got Brock Purdy, right? It's okay. Just pretend you spent those picks on Purdy. And the Niners are like, okay, all right, we'll pretend we'll do that. And we won't hold you accountable for that. But like, how many times can he do the LOL, just kidding? Sorry, I wasted all your money. Maybe he can't do that right now. And maybe that's part of it. Like, no, I have to make this work with Christian. My freaking job depends on this working with Christian. That would be bleak. Or there's also just Kyle just being generally stubborn. And it's like, oh, people say I shouldn't do this. Well, I'm going to do it. Even if it's bad for my team. I don't want people to tell me what to do.
That's an explanation. Maybe that's it. It's really hard to like answer this question. Why? Because there's no real reason it makes sense. I mean, I understand wanting to play Christian McCaffrey. I do. And I'm not saying don't play him. But like it would be better for Christian McCaffrey if Jordan Mason was spelling him and giving him breathers. It would be better for Christian McCaffrey. You eased him back into the swing of things instead of just letting him take over. I don't get it, man.
And what's funny about this season too is like you've seen a lot of revisionist history. People being like, you know what? I saw this coming. People that like predicted the Niners would win 13 games this year. I saw this coming. The vibes were off, and this team has played like an extra season. I mean, they've played like 60 games. They're just exhausted. They're just so tired. It's like, true. That's all true. You know who's not tired? Jordan Mason. You know why? Because he didn't play. He's completely fresh. There's only a few players who are really like giving that extra effort this year that used to characterize the entire team. It's like him, Jawan Jennings, Diamador Lenore. Maybe I missed a guy. Malik Mustafa. There's like 4 or 5 guys who are really, really setting the standard of effort. Yeah. And Mason is absolutely one of them. And I'm not knocking McCaffrey for not being one of them. Like to everyone's point, he's exhausted and he's coming off a lot.
Yeah. I want somebody like, and you're in there, and I think you've asked before, but like, can we ask it like this? Like, Kyle, Jordan Mason was the 3rd leading rusher in the NFL. He was trending to be the 5th leading rusher in 49ers history. Mm-hmm. Christian McCaffrey is obviously struggling, only averaging this many yards per carry. Can you please explain to us ignorant fans why you are only running Jordan Mason 2 times per game? Like, I want someone to just pin him into a corner like that, because it makes no freaking sense. So I would love to get an answer.
Yeah. If I do that, I'm sure it'll pull my credential. Okay. Speaking of my favorite coach, Kyle Shanahan, who I would never criticize, I think reason and reality haven't really caught up this year. I think people look at this team and look at Kyle, and I think I even said it last week, like, oh man, he's about to lock in this week. Watch, he's going to be in his bag this week. You know, with Brandon Allen's going to bring it out of him. Like, so far, he hasn't shown any type of bag this year. In the past, he certainly has. So I think it's kind of hard to separate the Kyle we think we know from the Kyle we're looking at right now. how would you grade the Kyle we're looking at right now? Just the stuff he's done this year.
I mean,
and to be fair, the season isn't over. He could go on a winning streak, and it could be this could be the quest for 6. I don't think it is, but it could be.
Well, after week 12, right? Yesterday, 20+ missed tackles. That's poor effort fundamentals. Mm-hmm. That's on the head coach. 9 penalties. That's a lack of discipline. That's on head coach.
Hiring Sorensen to begin with and bringing in Staley, who are responsible for that.
Staff issues, right? Roster issues, red zone issues. You have the
special teams in general.
27th red zone issue, right? These are all
culture problems.
Culture
problems,
right? Signing
not even getting the best players on the field issues.
Signing players you shouldn't have signed.
Giving up leads in the fourth quarter.
So here's the one thing he did good this year is the rookies. They did a good job with that rookie draft class. Outside of maybe a little TBD on Ricky, we'll see. We'll see what he does. So because of that rookie
those
class,
are just like elements. We're not talking about a team that's come together and done something impressive. They don't have one impressive win.
They don't. I'm going to give him a D. It would be an F, but the rookie class is good. So he gets a D for me.
I think a D is fair. And I think what's funny is like the red zone's been an issue all year, but you could actually go back and say, you know what, with McCaffrey out and Ayuk struggling and then going out, you could argue that Kyle was doing a good job with his offense. Like he wasn't getting the yak, but he eventually figured out to feature Jordan Mason and Jawan Jennings, and it was working to an extent. They were scoring a lot of points, and then Christian McCaffrey comes back and Kyle like throws it all away to just try to recreate what worked last year and doesn't work this year. It's like, oh man, your stock is going, your grade is plummeting, dude. Like your grade is before we would really just kind of hold the defense and the special teams against you. Like now the offense is the problem, and just your personnel decisions are becoming like erratic isn't even the word. They're just wrong most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about his rookies. Love the rookies, man. What's up with Ricky Pearsall? What's up?
Yeah, I got to see him more.
I'm not even saying it's him, but like you won't target him. Why did you draft him if you won't target him? He's 24 years old. He's not a project. I know he missed the offseason, but you need him. Ayuk's out. He's out. Like what I don't understand is I'd love someone smarter than me to explain what's going on with freaking Ricky Pearsall. Because other wide receivers who are rookies are producing in the league, and they need a guy.
I mean, we'll see. Ricky's been through a lot this year, but it's possible he's just not that good. That's a possibility too. So we got to see. I'm going to give him time. Maybe he is. Maybe he is good.
I want to say, like, yeah, getting shot in the chest doesn't help, and I've never gotten shot in the chest, so I can't talk about that one. But I also feel that just missing training camp, which was way before he got shot, was maybe equally as detrimental to his season, because I think any rookie needs training camp, especially a wide receiver who's you're not just running routes, but you're trying to develop timing and chemistry with a particular quarterback, and he didn't get that opportunity. I know they do it in practice now, but I just think it was always kind of rich to feel like he's going to step in and tear it up. Maybe he'll tear it up next year, but the guy who's been around and been working is Jacob Cowing. I think that's the guy that you wanted to like.
Where did he go?
Increase, but he's still in the concussion protocol, which is scary. It's been a little while.
Even before that, where did he go? Like we saw him in the preseason, and he had
a long catch on the stutter go, and then they buried him for 2 months, and then they brought it back. That's what I don't understand about Kyle. He'll find something that works and then forget about it. Like remember 3 years ago, they were playing in Seattle, and they were in the red zone, and there was that play that was cool where like Brock Purdy fakes to his right, fakes to his left. Falls down, stands up, wide open, catches a touchdown.
Yeah.
They haven't run that play since that day. That was 3 years ago. And then if you watch NFL Red Zone, teams run that play every week. You see it all. It's a great play. It works. But
Kyle, isn't that a Bill Walsh play? I remember the Niners, they used to run that back. They ran that in the 90s, I believe.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. It worked. It scored a touchdown, and Kyle's like, yeah, I'll break it out 7 years from now if I'm still here. Like, oh, cool.
I will give Kyle. I want to give Kyle credit. Like, be honest, right? There's 2 plays in a row yesterday where I'm like, yes, Kyle. It was the pass to CMC where George Kittle ran out in front of him and was basically a blocker. And then the one to Debo. Those were 2 good plays in a row. I'm like, all right, finally, Kyle. And then it just went back to vanilla. I just like to see more of that type of stuff. But he did have those two. Kyle, if you're watching, good job on those 2 plays yesterday.
Bradley Brown says we got the Temu version of Debo this year.
Temu version.
MD 2020 says, Grant, my guy, I love how Kyle gets so frustrated with any of your questions. His stare is like a death stare in each eyeball and just wishing he could zap you out of the room. You ever see like movies where like something will happen and then you'll see like this really violent sequence and then it'll cut and it's like you could tell the guy was just sort of like fantasizing about it? Like what he would do in that situation. When Kyle looks at me, I almost feel like he's like going through all the scenarios that he would like to happen, but that can't happen.
In the face, in his head.
Yeah. Just like reach out and choke me. You know what I mean? It's like, What were you asking?
I could see that. Yeah. I love it.
I mean, look, to be fair to Kyle, if I were him, I would hate me. Are you kidding?
Yeah, but you're not supposed to. That's the thing. You're not supposed to be trying to.
Right. I would try to like woosah and block me on Twitter and not look at me, but like I would not like Grant Cohn. I'll be like, forget that guy. Hate him. I don't like people who are critical of me right now.
Well, here's the thing. For people that don't like Grant and don't like the way he questions Kyle, I'd be willing to bet Grant's been here long before Kyle, and he'll be here after Kyle.
Don't jinx it, dude. I'm scared of that, man.
Knock on wood.
I'm scared of Kyle Shanahan, man. That guy's sensitive and a little more vulnerable than he's ever been with the 49ers. And I don't want him to take me with, like, if he's going down, don't take me with you. You're the best coach I've ever seen. It's so good, man. You got all the answers.
Yeah.
I'm scared of him. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Let's go watch some fun Monday Night Football. I'll be back tomorrow with like a streamathon. My dad, Larry. Streamathon. Stay tuned, everyone. Thanks again, Habitual Line Stepper, for all the money.